In this podcast episode, Arthur Brooks explores the intricate relationship between psychology and biology in well-being, unpacking how emotion and physical health intertwine. He delves into the complexity of happiness and unhappiness, temperament types, and the neurobiology behind emotions. Brooks also discusses modern challenges like anxiety, addiction, and relationship dynamics through an evolutionary lens. The conversation expands into practical advice on managing emotions, optimizing routines for well-being and productivity, and the importance of embracing suffering to find meaning. Brooks shares evidence-based insights into morning and evening habits that sustain mental and physical health. Arthur Brooks emphasizes that psychological well-being cannot be extricated from biology, arguing that psychology is fundamentally biology. Our emotions, whether positive or negative, arise from brain structures, primarily the limbic system, which evolved over millions of years as an alert system to external threats and opportunities. Emotions give rise to our subjective experience of well-being, signaling whether we feel happy or unhappy at any moment. Understanding and managing negative emotions is critical for maintaining quality of life. Rather than eradicating pain, the goal is to regulate emotions effectively and find productive learning within suffering. Brooks distinguishes happiness and unhappiness as separate dimensions rather than ends of a single spectrum. It is possible to experience high levels of both positive and negative emotions simultaneously, a phenomenon observed in about 25% of people identified as high affect. He introduces a temperament test dividing people into quadrants: high positive, high negative, mad scientists; high positive, low negative, cheerleaders; low positive, low negative, judges; and low positive, high negative, poets. Each temperament profile has distinct implications for well-being, creativity, and relationship dynamics. For example, poets tend to have more intense negative emotions, but are also highly creative and romantic. Brooks highlights that individuals with high negative affect often cope with their emotions destructively, particularly through substances like alcohol and drugs. Alcohol, for instance, disrupts communication between the amygdala, fear and anger center, and the prefrontal cortex, providing temporary relief from anxiety. He notes that CEOs and high achievers paradoxically display higher rates of problematic alcohol use, as they may self-medicate anxiety or boredom. Workaholism is described as a form of distraction and secondary addiction, driven by an addiction to success, often rooted in early childhood experiences where love and affection were contingent on achievement. Brooks discusses how children conditioned to earn love through success wire their brains to crave continuous achievement as a source of dopamine and validation. This cult of specialness fosters pathological success addiction, where self-worth is tightly bound to external accomplishments and admiration. While this can lead to extreme achievement, it comes at the expense of well-being. Lifestyle changes, including quitting alcohol and reframing the sources of validation, are essential interventions for overcoming these patterns. Drawing on Thomas Aquinas and ancient philosophy, Brooks outlines 4 idols humans commonly worship: money, power, pleasure, and honor, fame. Most people have a dominant idol that drives their behavior, often unconsciously leading to future regret. Understanding and moderating attachment to these idols helps align desires with well-being. The podcast guest participates in a game to identify which idols he would relinquish to find balance. The concept of "what do you want to want" is introduced as a psychological exercise for achieving congruence between authentic desires and aspirational self-identity, which is central to managing anxiety and navigating life's complexities. Brooks distinguishes risk, where probabilities are known, from uncertainty, unknown probabilities, highlighting that uncertainty drives anxiety through sustained amygdala activation and hypervigilance. Unlike acute threats experienced ancestrally, modern life bombards individuals with chronic low-level stressors and constant distractions, making it difficult to regulate emotions effectively. He explains how early childhood development involves managing overstimulation of the amygdala through distraction, an insight that parallels adult coping behaviors like workaholism and substance use. The flattening of life's vitality curve and the complexity of matching fertility and relationship readiness in modern society add to anxiety and dissatisfaction. Brooks emphasizes that suffering is not only inevitable, but the most important source of life's meaning. Modern culture's tendency to avoid or resist pain impoverishes human experience and blocks growth. Instead, embracing suffering with reduced resistance transforms it from mere pain into profound learning and generativity. He echoes philosophical and spiritual traditions where hardship catalyzes maturity and happiness increases with age as people learn to contextualize and transcend transient negative emotions. The synthesis of science and ancient wisdom underpins this understanding of suffering's role. Brooks identifies metacognition, understanding one's own emotions, as the most reliable lever to lower negativity. Practices such as physical exercise, particularly resistance training and running, religious or spiritual activities, and meditation help rebuild harmony between brain regions and reduce emotional reactivity. He shares the rationale that exercise alleviates unhappiness, especially for those high in negative affect, while religious ritual fosters transcendence and connection. Combining body and soul care is essential for sustained well-being and productivity. Arthur Brooks advocates rising before dawn, referencing the Brahma Muhurta principle from ancient tradition to optimize creativity, focus, and emotional regulation. He stresses the importance of substantial physical activity soon after waking, typically resistance training supplemented by Zone 2 cardio, to prime the brain and body. For many, walking outdoors at sunrise without devices awakens the right brain hemisphere, vital for meaning and mental well-being. Nutrition strategies include protein-rich meals with tryptophan sources early in the day and delaying caffeine to enhance focus while balancing adrenal function. The routine is designed to maximize 4 hours of prefrontal dopamine, simulating the effect of ADHD medication for concentrated work. Brooks outlines a distinct approach for evenings centered on mood management and sleep quality. Early, light dinners devoid of caffeine, alcohol, and excess sugar support healthy sleep architecture. Post-dinner walking for 30 to 40 minutes aids insulin sensitivity and emotional regulation. Recognizing differences in sleep needs between partners, he underscores the importance of shared routines that honor individual biology. He highlights the power of oxytocin release through eye contact and physical touch with partners before sleep as critical for relationship health and emotional comfort. Reading to or being read to by a partner further enhances connection and relaxation, setting the stage for restorative rest. Brooks cautions against over-reliance on wearable technology and obsessing over metrics, which can lead to neuroticism and diminishing returns on well-being efforts. Learning to apply deliberate but flexible habits without perfectionism safeguards against counterproductive rigidity. He reflects on his own journey through a productivity bro phase, characterized by elaborate morning rituals and information gathering, underscoring that understanding one's unique preferences and rhythms is crucial to long-term success and happiness. Loss, especially of a loved one or romantic partner, triggers the most intense negative emotions. Brooks explains how brain regions like the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex process affective pain, making heartbreak acutely painful, an evolved mechanism to prevent social exclusion and death in ancestral environments. He discusses research showing acetaminophen's ability to modestly reduce emotional pain, illustrating the complex balance between embracing and managing grief. Effective breakup coping involves distraction through social activities, focusing on the reasons for leaving rather than romanticized memories, and allowing sadness expression through sad music to aid emotional processing. Brooks explores how understanding temperament differences among partners, such as between mad scientists and judges, can facilitate healthier marriages. He advocates conscious metacognitive strategies in relationships, including acknowledging both positive and negative traits and addressing emotions rather than avoiding difficult conversations. Oxytocin-driven bonding rituals before sleep and shared gratitude practices support ongoing connection. Recognizing that breakups and infidelities stem more from misaligned desires than isolated events underscores the importance of cultivating right desires and active communication. Brooks asserts that contemporary freedoms and abundance paradoxically contribute to declining happiness through erosion of traditional pillars: faith, family, friendships, and meaningful work. These climate factors, coupled with modern weather challenges such as digital distraction, political polarization, and the pandemic, create adverse conditions for well-being worldwide. Despite these trends, personal protocols centered on intentional faith or philosophy, commitment to close relationships, and purposeful labor can counteract societal pressures. The evolutionary mismatch between ancestral programming and modern environments heightens emotional difficulties that require conscious navigation and cultivation of resilience. Throughout the discussion, Brooks underscores that truth and behavioral change must be rooted in love, the active willing of the good for others, to be constructive rather than divisive. Love provides the moral foundation that transforms communication, mitigates hostility, and enables growth in personal and social spheres. He invokes classical and religious teachings to frame love as the essential motive behind ethical living and flourishing amid complexity and adversity. This orientation shapes the pursuit of well-being beyond superficial success toward deep fulfillment.